everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I've got 5 super easy and fun fall DIYs for you that I think you're really going to enjoy. So if you want to know how to make them, stick around. I'll show you how. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Okay, for this first one, I'm just going to take some little pumpkins and I'm going to take the stems out. And then I'm going to add a weight down into the bottom. So just go ahead and poke a hole down there big enough to put like a, I'm using maybe a 3/8 inch nut just to kind of give it some weight so it doesn't tip over. And then I'm going to take a 2-inch piece of wood round circle and I'm just going to glue it to the bottom. And I'm going to use E6000 glue as well as hot glue on this. I'll flip them over and I'm going to do the same thing for the top part. I'm just going to put the same 2-inch wood round with hot glue and E6000 glue on these. And then let these set up and dry really well before you go to the next step. Okay, next I'm using Fast and Final spackling, lightweight spackling, and then a Wilton's 2D piping tip. I'm just going to take my piping bag, I'm just going to cut the tip of it off, and I'm just going to go ahead and put this inside of here. Now you can use this piping, this lightweight spackling on a lot of projects. It goes a long way. And I'm just going to take a popsicle stick to kind of put it in here. And it really didn't, I made 4 of these with just the spackling that I'm putting in here right now. And I had some left over to put back into my can. And the cheapest place to get this at is at Lowe's. You can buy a 32-ounce container of it for like 10 bucks. And it goes a long way. You can do a lot of projects with this. And then go ahead and push your spackling all the way down where the tip is. And I'm tying mine off with a rubber band to hold it in place. Next, I'm coming in from the side and I'm just going to take a constant pressure and just turn my pumpkin as I'm doing my piping. This is the easiest way just to turn your project while you're doing it. On the first round, and on the second one, I'm just going to go up to the top, same pressure, and I'm just going to go ahead and add all the way up to the top in a circular manner, and I'm going to put a little dollop on the very, very top. Okay, then I'm going to take a cinnamon stick, I cut it in half, and I'm going to put 2 of these in here, just kind of like they're in straws. And then I'm going to take some real cinnamon and sprinkle it on top. And then I'm going to embellish it with a little wooden leaf that I got at Hobby Lobby. And then I'm going to take some iridescent glitter and just put it all over the top of it, just to kind of give it a little bit of sparkle. And then you let it dry overnight and then it's permanent. Okay, and this is how these turned out. They turned out so super cute. These are so easy to make. They make great gifts. And if you're going to sell them at a craft fair, you can even put them in like a 4x4x4 plastic box and put a ribbon around it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, to make some caramel apples, I'm just using an apple that I got at Hobby Lobby. And you get a full bag of them for about $5. So you do get quite a bit for your money. And then I'm going to use Apple Barrel Classic Caramel Paint, Mod Podge in the Super Gloss, and then I'm going to use a dowel stick, a 1/4-inch dowel stick, and then this is some corn cob hamster bedding, and you can get it on, I'll give you the link for where I bought mine, but you can get it at any feed store. Okay, and this one was vacuum sealed, so if you're going to use this, just cut a little corner open on it just to get some air in it, and then it'll all go down to the bottom. But there's quite a bit in here. And I'm just using a little paper bowl to pour it into. A little bit goes a long way. You can use this on a lot of projects. Okay, next I'm going to pour about 2 tablespoons of the Mod Podge into a plastic cup. And I'm just going to add about a 1/2 teaspoon of the paint. Now you want to make sure that you get this mixed up really, really well. You don't want to see any of the Mod Podge. You just want to see just the coloring only. Next, I'm going to pull the stem out of the apple. I'm going to sharpen a dowel stick, and it's a 1/4 inch by 6, and I'm just going to twist it down into the apple till it's pretty tight. And then I'm going to take a sponge brush, and I'm just going to start sponging it on. Now, I'm going to leave the top of the apple showing. I'm just kind of going all the way around here, and now I'm going to get pretty thick on here, and then I'm going to come back in and kind of smooth it out a little bit. And you want to cover the entire bottom part of the apple. And it's got a pretty good consistency, so it'll lay pretty flat. Now, I learned something as I was doing this. If you get air bubbles in this, just like if you're making soap or something like that and you get an air bubble in it, if you spritz it with some alcohol, it will take those bubbles out. Okay, once you get it completely painted, you want to go ahead and start adding your corn cob hamster bedding stuff to it. And you want to get it pretty thick. Now leave about an inch or a half an inch at the top so you can still see the caramel. And this will dry solid on here. You won't have, I mean, you'll have a little bit of flaking, but maybe one or two of those kernels will fall off and that's about it. But just get it on there pretty thick. And then you can kind of sprinkle a few of them on top if you want to. But this will, when it dries, it'll be on there pretty permanent. And then I'm just going to kind of sprinkle a couple of them on top. And then I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. And you want to let it dry for 24 hours. Now, if you're going to sell these 4x4x4 cube boxes are a great way to display these. You just put them in there. And then I'm pulling my tabs over and I'm going to have to cut some little notches to go around that stick. And then I'm going to take an X-Acto knife here in a second and cut a hole in the very top as well. And then you can just add a bow if you don't want to put it in a plastic container. It looks cute both ways. Okay, then I'm just going to cut a little tiny triangle right in the center for that little stem to come through. And then to package it, you just run that right through there and then set it down inside of the box. And then you can close your flaps. And this is a great way to package it if you're going to sell it at a craft fair. And then just put a bow right around the top part of it. All right, I thought these turned out really super cute. Let me know in the comments what you think. You can use them on a tiered tray. You can use them for gifts. You can use them for place settings at a dinner. And they are great craft fair sellers. Next one, I'm going to make a little squirrel. I'm taking 2 long pine cones and I'm going to cut the top of one of them off so I can attach his head. Now, I got these on Amazon and I'll give you the link for those. Then to make him stand up, I'm going to take an oven baked clay, roll it in a ball, and I'm going to flatten it out. And I'm going to attach him. I'm going to attach the pine cone to it, just push it on down in there. And then we're going to use some Bacon Bond glue to bake it in the oven so that it does stay together. And then you're going to bake it at 275 degrees for 20 minutes. And it's not going to hurt your pine cone a bit. Now we're going to make some little feet for him. I'm just taking 2 little balls of oven baked clay. I'm kind of rolling them out, pressing them down, just kind of making a little foot, and then I'm putting a couple little indents on it for his toes. You're just making it into a log and kind of pushing the front part of it down. And then we're going to go ahead and put the little toes in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach that to the already baked oven baked clay that I put on the base. Just kind of smooth it on there. Just kind of take your fingers and just smooth it on and blend it together. And then we're going to bake this again for 20 minutes at 275 degrees. Just kind of take your finger and just kind of blend it so it stays together. And then you can use a tool too if you want to, just kind of push it together. Next, I got these little acorns at Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to pull one of them off to use it as his head. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue down in the bottom part where I just pulled it off and kind of squeeze that together. Next, I'm going to attach a nose right to the center, and then I'm going to put some eyes in as well. Now, I got this little kit on Amazon. I'll give you the link for it. It has a lot of eyes and a lot of different sized noses. Once you get it exactly where you want it, you can go ahead and take it back out and go ahead and glue it in. Okay, next I'm just going to attach some eyes, and I'm just going to kind of even space them on each side of his head. Now, if you can't find this little acorn at Dollar Tree, you could use an egg and cover it, or you could even use a walnut for his head. And I'm not going to glue these in because they were pretty hard to get in there in the first place, so I know that they're going to stay. Okay, next I'm just going to cut an ear shape out of some brown felt. And this doesn't have to be exact. It's just kind of like a long triangle that's kind of curved at the top. And then I'm going to cut one exactly like it for the other ear. shape the ears, I'm just going to kind of pull them together at the bottom, put a little bit of glue in there, and just squeeze them together and just hold them until they dry. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the opposite ear. And then to attach him to his head, I'm just putting a little bit glued down on the bottom, and I'm just attaching it straight up on the side of his head. And do the same thing with the second ear. Okay, next attach the body to the tail. I'm just going to take a string, and I'm using kind of a thick string. This is actually a waxed string, but you could use any kind you want. And then just go through the bottom of the pine cone all the way through. Get through all the little needles, and then just kind of figure out exactly where you want it, and then we're going to tie it off in the back. And then we're going to go ahead and tie that one down to the bottom too. Come down through there on the bottom of that pine cone, and then we're going to tie it off in the back too. Now we are going to have to put glue on here, so this is not going to just permanently hold it up. It's just going to temporarily hold it up until we can get the glue done. But you do want to tie it off as tight as you can get it tied without breaking the pine cone. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue right in the center to hold it up until we can until we can tie it. And then we're going to come back in with some E6000 glue and some hot glue in a minute so that we have a permanent bond. And once you get all this glued together, it will stay real well. Okay, to attach the head, we're just going to go ahead and put a little E6000 glue on the head and hot glue onto the pine cone. And then just firmly push that on down. For his arms, we're going to just take some pipe cleaner in brown color, and we're just going to fold it in half. And then we're going to have to trim this a couple of times until we get it to the length we want it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and curve it around to the back to attach it. Just put it on both sides, kind of closer to his head, maybe about 1 inch down. And then just go ahead and bend that around there. And then we're going to attach it in the back. We're going to stick it through the pine cone, and we're going to attach it in the back. And then just trim off any excess that's hanging over. And then we're doing the same thing for this arm. Now we are going to cut them off again a little bit shorter because they were still a little bit too long, because I'm going to have him holding an acorn. So I'm cutting it off there, but then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to cut it even a little bit shorter. And that's about the length that I'm going to leave them. And then I'm going to cut the other side to match it. And then we're going to glue these in too. Okay, and I'm sorry I got out of the camera here, but this is where I'm gluing in the other arm. Okay, then we're going to just bend his hands in, and then we're just going to put an acorn right in his hand. Hey, I think he turned out super cute. Let me know what you think in the comments. Look at that sweet face. If you're enjoying the video, be sure and give me a like because it really does help my channel. Thank you. Okay, for my pumpkin pie, I'm just going to roll out some orange oven baked clay, and then I'm going to cut it with a 5-inch cookie cutter. And if you don't have a cookie cutter, you can put a bowl on it and cut it out. You can make it whatever size you want. But I'm rolling it pretty thin because I'm going to fill the rest of it with a different color. And just push it on there and kind of twist it. And then go ahead and take all the rest of it off and then just put that aside. Then I'm going to take some tan clay and I'm going to roll it out to make the crust. Now I'm only going to use it on the bottom. I'm just going to roll out a thin layer, and then I'm going to fill in the rest of the pie with some cheaper clay that I had, because you're not going to see it anyways. Okay, for the inside of the pie, I'm just using some Craft Smart oven baked clay from Michael's just to kind of fill in the rest, because the other two that I used were Sculpey 3 and they're a little bit more expensive than this Craft Smart. So since you're not going to see this section anyway, that's why I did it. And my overall pie, I'm building it up to be 3/4 of an inch tall. So I'm going to go ahead and put the bottom part on there with some bacon bond. And then I'm going to put my orange one on top of that. And then we'll tie all this together with some crust when we get done baking this. So we're going to bake this for about 30 minutes at 275 degrees. And just spend a little time getting your top part smooth. And then we're going to come back in with a toothpick and kind of rough up the edges a little bit, because pumpkin pies do crack around the edges. And I'm going a little bit too far out, because by the time I put my crust on, it covered it up. So come in probably about an inch and do that. Okay, so now that that's baked, I'm going to go ahead and roll out the crust for the side. And then we're going to attach it and bake it again. So I have a straight edge on top, I'm just taking my ruler and running down the front top edge of it. And then I'm going to come down 3/4 of an inch, mark it, and I'm going to make a straight edge across the bottom of it as well. And this will be for our final outside crust. Then I'm going to take some of the extra and I'm just going to kind of beef it up a little bit, and I'm just going to beef up the top part of the pie a little bit so that it kind of curves in towards the bottom a little bit. So I'm just kind of straightening up this piece, and then I'm just going to start attaching it and just kind of smooth it in real good. And then we're going to put the final crust over that and smooth all of it in together. Okay, and then go ahead and put the final crust around it and then go ahead and smooth it out. Now, when you get done putting this all together, you're going to bake this again for 15 minutes at 275 degrees. Just try to take your time and make sure it gets smooth, and go ahead and roll it around the top, because all that's going to be covered up with the crust here in a little bit. But you just want to make sure it's all blended in before you bake it. Next, for the trim around the top, I'm taking 3 1-inch balls of that same tan clay, and I'm just going to roll these into strips. Now, kind of take your time rolling them down, because they'll roll up and down the same way each time. Kind of do like that, roll it like that, and then you'll get a consistent line that's pretty even throughout the whole thing. And you're going to roll 3 of these out. You got 3 of them. We're going to go ahead and connect them at the top, and then we're going to start braiding them. And you want to make sure that your braids are pretty tight up at the top, starting at the top, and be consistent all the way down. You want to make sure that they're all the same, so you do have a pretty crust when you're done. Just kind of take your time on this step, and then you can get it pretty nice. And then you're going to continue all the way down till you get to the end. Okay, you're just going to keep braiding it until you have enough to go all the way around. And then you're going to go ahead and start trimming it up. Just cut that edge off and cut that edge off, and then they will blend together when they get put together. So just start right on the edge, just kind of make sure it goes together. And then we're going to put some oven bacon bond on it again before we put it in the oven, just to make sure it blends together. Just kind of put it up there and make sure you got everything like you want it. And then we're going to put some oven baked clay on, some oven baked adhesive on it. And then we're going to bake it for an additional 25 minutes at 275 degrees. Okay, next I'm going to come in with some of the Valspar clear glaze. I'm going to put some burnt sienna in it. And then I decided that I needed a little bit of a gold color as well. So I came back in and mixed up some of the Valspar glaze with a yellow ochre color from Folk Art. And both of these were matte colored paints. And that just gave it the color that I wanted it to be. Now, I had already started painting it before I figured that out. So some of my pie looks like it's painted. But I'm just going to come in with the yellow color first, and I'm going to go over it with the burnt sienna. I'm kind of blending in some yellow here right now because I've already had painted that section. But I'm going to come back in and I'm going to start blending it in together, the two together. And this gave it a more baked look, you know, with some different colors in it, especially with the burnt sienna. It really added to it. And there's where I'm starting to do the color combination together. Just kind of play with it and get it however color you whatever color you like. But that's what I did on that. And then I'm going to come back in on the center of the pie, and I'm just going to brush in the burnt sienna. And now that I've let the other colors dry a little bit more, and after I've got all that dry, I'm going to just go back over the whole thing with the burnt sienna and the sides as well. And that way it'll be all blended in real well. But it was a perfect pumpkin pie color by the time you got done doing that. Okay, then I'm going to go at a different angle, and it's a little bit blurry, I know, but I just wanted to show you I'm using that same topping that I used on the very first project, and I'm just going around my pie, putting little dollops. And I'm going to put one big dollop in the very center. Okay, I really love the way this turned out. Let me know in the comments what you think and if you plan on making a pumpkin pie. For this next one, I'm just going to take a wreath form that I got at Michael's, and I'm taking a 5-inch burlap ribbon that I got at Michael's as well. I'm coming through the outer 2 loops on this frame. I'm pulling up evenly on both sides, and I'm going to stick my wire through it and tie it to the wreath frame. You want to make sure that you do tie your ribbon, tie your wire on here, and then just trim off any excess, and then we're going to start gathering it up. And I'm just going to take both sides and start pulling them together. Now, if you get a little bit lighter weight burlap, it was a little bit easier, but this one actually came together pretty quick and easy. Once you get a rhythm going on it, and just keep pulling it up. It doesn't matter. You don't have to guess the gathers. Just keep going, pulling it together until it's completely full. You want it to be pretty thick so you don't see the other part of the wreath frame through it. And you can kind of just start moving it around, you know, shaping it up as you go. And this really doesn't take that long to do. I mean, I know I did speed it up, but it didn't really take that long to actually make the entire wreath. Okay, and then once you get to the next bar, you're going to cut it off and you're going to wire that part in as well. And then you're going to start over and wire in a new piece. Just kind of shape it up a little bit. Okay, then just the same as you did at the very beginning, we're going to wire the next piece in, and we're going to go all the way till we get to that next section of wire. And I think I used a total of maybe 3 of the ribbons on it, and they were on sale at Michael's. Okay, then you're going to go ahead and tie that section off, and then I'm going to come in with a different color. So I'm going to do 2 of the tan, and then I'm going to do 1 of the cream, and I'll show you the color here in a minute I got. Okay, then I'm coming in with a cream color, and I'm going to do the same thing. Now I'm just going to go 1 section on the cream color, and then I'm going to come back in and do 2 more tan and 1 more cream. But you just do it the same way all the way around. You kind of get the point of how it goes together, and then just kind of keep going until you have your wreath completely filled in. And then we're going to add the embellishments here in a little bit, but just kind of keep building it up until you get it pretty full. Okay, next I'm going to take some chicken wire ribbon that I have, and I'm just going to attach it straight across the back because I'm going to add a little word on the front. So just kind of get it pulled apart there, and you're going to tie it onto both sides of that circle, and then just stretch it, kind of smooth it out a little bit, but you can pull it tight when you get it actually wired in. So it's going to go straight across just like that, and I'm just going to take some wire and wire it in. And when you get this side done, the other side, you can really stretch it pretty good. Okay, and then I got this word blessed at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use a little E6000 glue and a little hot glue to attach it. And just kind of center it right in the center. Okay, I really love the way this one turned out. Let me know what you think in the comments. You could leave this up year round. You wouldn't just have to use it for fall. Okay, I'm just going to kind of recap some of the things that I made today. All of these items are pretty simple to make and they are very budget friendly. If you like these kind of videos, be sure and give me a thumbs up and be sure and subscribe and ring that bell so that you don't miss out on another video. And a lot of these items are great for craft fairs. So if you do craft fairs and package these the way that I've showed you today, I think that they will really be great sellers. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank y'all so much for watching. I really appreciate it.